was a study just published earlier this week that showed if you take the internet and social media apps just off your phone, even if you still use them at like on your work computer, your brain within 2 weeks will reverse 10 years in terms of its biological age. Now, the problem is if you jump right back to it, it gets stressed again. You can't stop eating McDonald's for 2 weeks and then start eating McDonald's every day forever after that. But
it doesn't work
it's the same idea.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Integrative Women's Health Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jessica Drummond, and I am so thrilled to be here today with my friend and colleague, Dr. Mariza Snyder. Welcome.
Thank you, Jessica, honey. It's always a pleasure to get to see you.
You too. And we always have so much fun together, which we're going to do today. And I really want to talk today is how both of us do a lot of writing and content creation and teaching on how to heal the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause, and at a deeper level, heal and optimize all of our health systems. And we talk a lot about that at kind of a high level, theoretical level, research level, but day to day, we're both perimenopausal, menopausal, and the rubber hits the road when it comes to behavior change implementation. So what are some of your actual favorite day-to-day tools for being a busy working mom in perimenopause?
This is exactly the conversation. This is where rubber meets the road. And I want to say, Jessica, I love to double dip. And what I mean by that is I want to do the things today that are going to mitigate symptoms, but I also want those same things to protect my future health outcomes. So that's what I'm always thinking about. I'm like, okay, how is it that, what are the things that I'm doing today that are going to support me now? Now is great. I want to deal with the now stuff, but also my 80-year-old self is like, thank you. Thank you for doing that at 46 years old. And so I want to start with, first and foremost is, I don't know about you. I don't know if this is true for you, but sleep will make or break me. My day is literally predicated on the quality of my sleep the night before. And I also don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of wiggle room to not nail that. So for me, I have a 4-year-old, and not a lot of there's a lot of us at 46 years old that have 4-year-olds, but there's lots of moms, obviously, in this demographic of midlife, whether your kids are teenagers or they're preteens or they're three-nager, depending on where you land. My son's asleep, lights out by 8 p.m. And I basically have 30 minutes before I kick off my nighttime routine. And it's a sacred act. I always say, if it's not $1 million meeting, do not mess. Don't talk to me. Don't engage with me in my sleep routine. Like, it better be something that's going to really move the needle in my life. And so I don't know about you, but I start in the morning or in the evening. I get my water. I take my supplements. So I have nighttime supplements, whether it's like omegas and it's magnesium glycinate and all the things. And then I head upstairs and I kind of just make sure everything's ready to go, like in terms of setting up my sleep success. But also I love to set up I'm just sharing this because I have found this work with my patients as well. It's not just me that is doing this, but I also like to set up my future self for success. So I typically wake up really pretty early in the morning, usually like 5:45, 6 a.m. And I want to go work out. That's usually the time that I have. And I like to have everything set up, so that I am out the door in like less than 10 minutes. So I have my workout clothes all out, ready to go. I have my shoes at the door. I have I call it my emotional support water. I have emotional support water.
I love that.
At the door, ready in the morning. I just grab it. It's like all at the keys, the shoes, the everything. Like there's no excuses. Like from wake up to go, 10 minutes, I'm in the car, I'm out the door, whether that's a walk or that's going to the gym or that's a workout class. Like pick whatever works for you, but just get your butt moving in the morning. if that's the only time you're going to be able to build in that movement. So that's all set up. That's a part of my evening routine. And then I have, for me, reading at night is the ticket for me. I'll have like a really nice little sleepy tea, like with the holy basil or lavender or passion flower, whatever works for you. I have my tea and I have my book, and lights are off. Like my sleep cue kicks around 9:50, 9:45. And I listen to that, ladies. I listen to the sleep cue, and then I turn the lights off.
I got it. Your sleep, physical, intuitive cues. Like you literally just start feeling really sleepy.
Well, and the reason why I point that out is that for years I ignored it.
Yeah.
God, it's so easy to ignore that. You know, you start to feel tired, but you're watching that next episode on Netflix because it just automatically starts to play, and you just kind of ignore the cue. Or you start to feel tired, but you're at your computer and you just have to get that one email out, right? Whatever the thing is, or you got to still unload the dishwasher. And so you miss that window of opportunity. And how you reset that sleep cue, like kind of let your body know your body's telling you to get to sleep, is really in the morning, like establishing that wake up time. And so I talk a lot about sleep consistency. So going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. But if going to bed at the same time is still a little bit wonky, the one thing you absolutely can control is waking up at the same time. And that's going to help to reset your circadian alignment. That's going to help you get that sleep cue. And it's going to feel, if you don't have it right now, it's going to feel a bit elusive for about 7 to 10 days. You're going to have to be willing to be consistent to get that. But I will tell you, it's made all the difference of just setting myself up to be in receivership of the cue of my body telling me it's time to go to get to bed. And so usually around 9:45, 9:50, by 10, it's kicking in big time. And so that's when lights are off. And then I'm just going to bed. Mind you, if you need some oral micronized progesterone, or you need a little bit of magnesium glycinate, or you need a sleepy tea, or whatever helps to get you to sleep, by all means, lock and load that. But I always find that for me, my foundation is built on sleep. And notice also that there's a lot of intention in that. Gone are the days where I'm racing to bed and expecting to fall asleep. Like that, it doesn't, at least for me. And if you're able to still do that in perimenopause and menopause, like I am celebrating you from afar. But it doesn't, at least for my patients, it doesn't work like that anymore. So, one, I want to build in the foundation, and consistent foundation. Like treat it like a serious meeting, like one of the most important meetings of your day, because I believe it truly is. And then build in more sleep support if you're going to need that sleep support.
Absolutely. And what I like about this habit stacking is you have, it kind of builds off. Your son goes to bed at this time. You have this space to accomplish whatever else. So if people have kind of their checklist of end of day, pack lunch for the beginning of the day, put your shoes out, get your workout clothes ready, like you've gotten that done. But there's not, because a lot of times I think this would happen a lot for me when I was home, or when my kids were younger, and you have more of their bedtime to stack off of. Sometimes you put the kids to bed and then you're like, and there's
My
like
time.
no plan for that moment. And so you watch TV or you grab your phone or something like that. I think that 30 minutes can be so valuably useful when you already know what you're going to do with that moment. And it could be that, yeah, you are doing chores or whatever, but it can be done in such a way that your nervous system is being supported. You have certain music on, or it's silent for a while.
Or you're listening to a book while you're doing whatever, what you're doing. I love listening to fiction books on Audible, and I'm usually doing them around the house while I'm doing all my things, and I will tell you, occasionally I'll like, there's a show, it's the fall. Oh no, it's officially the fall.
Yeah.
We're officially in fall.
We're officially in fall. Yeah.
And I love the fall vibes. I think, who doesn't love the fall vibes? But I love the witchy fall vibes. And so there's a show, I'm listening to the book at the same time as I'm watching the show. It's called The Discovery of Witches. And I was making exceptions. I was watching an episode until 10:30, because I'm like, ooh, I can wiggle this until 10:30. I will tell you right now that I did it for 3 days, like 3 days that week. I was like, and I was very honest with myself. I was like, as much as this show is, and it's not an appropriate show for my son, who's 4. And so I'm not going to play it while he's awake. So I only have a tiny little window to watch this show. But then my sleep I started waking up not feeling great. It happened so fast. And I was like, okay, cut the show. So I just, it just wasn't worth it. So I just went to listening to it on my phone,
Yeah.
on the app. Yeah.
And listening to the book. Yeah.
And because I was, especially in a whatever season you may be in, a very full season, like cutting corners ain't it right now. It's not, so I just was like, okay, I know what is working for me. And yes, does that mean that we may have to make some, I wouldn't call them tough decisions, but more aligned decisions on what's going to really serve you. It's kind of like how I think about what I put into my body, what I eat, that molecular information. And Jessica, you and I have spent a lot of time in hyperbaric oxygen tanks trying to heal our brain and heal our bodies. And I will tell you that sleep makes or breaks me because my brain, I've had a couple of big injuries over the last couple of years. And what I put into my body, the question I always ask is this going to fuel my future brain? Is this going to actually support my future brain? Because I do feel like so many of the women that you guys get to take care of, I'm extra sensitive at this point in my journey, and particularly with perimenopause. And so I'm building habits to protect tomorrow's brain. I'm building habits to protect and mitigate tomorrow's symptoms is really what it comes down to. The other kind of habits I want to bring in is I have a lot of habit stacking of movement. So when I am running my son's bath at night, so I'm just going to talk about building movement into my day. I got a lot of cheats in how to build movement into my day. As much as I would love to just have beautiful long walks throughout my day, I'm in a season. I'm doing 6 interviews today, like specifically. Yeah. So, I'm
book
just
launch,
book
4-year-olds.
launch mode. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
It is what it is. It's the season I'm in. I accept that season, but also I'm not going to let that season derail my longevity and my health span in my movement. I know muscle and movement and living an active lifestyle is the ticket. If I could bottle that up for each and every one of you, in a pill form, honestly, I wouldn't. I still make you move.
Yeah.
But honestly, if there was a panacea, if we wanted to, it's going to be movement, it's going to be muscle, it's going to be preserving that muscle so that you don't go into a sedentary lifestyle, or you don't start to become more develop sarcopenia.
More sarcopenia, more muscle wasting.
Or sarcobesity, whatever that looks like, or be one of the 1 in 2 women who have an osteoporotic fracture. So when I'm talking about double dipping, this is what I'm thinking about long term. And so movement. So I don't have a lot of windows for extended movement. And I'm doing some of the, like you and I were talking about movement and how we just have our workout clothes on under our
right
video clothes.
Right now.
Right now. I can show you my workout pants underneath this dress.
Same. I'm not going to lift my shirt up, but same idea.
Same idea. Yes, exactly.
And I think that's one of the benefits of really just taking that 30 minutes the day before and being intentional. Like, what's my schedule tomorrow? Because what you get dressed, the layers, or if you bother to put makeup on or not, like how you spend those little bits of time when you are in a tight schedule season. So even like you were saying, you turn on the bath. This is a little minute of opportunity. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I really do jump squats. I call it a 60 jump squat buy-in. I do 60 jump squat. I want to call them sessions or reps, or what I want to call them little micro boost of movement throughout my day. So one of those moments is when I'm running the bath for my son. So, and that takes about 3 to 5 minutes, give or take, to get the bath where I need it to be. So I'm in the bathroom, and what I do not do is go back downstairs, because that's where my son is at, and he has got a million things he wants me to do. So Because that's what 4-year-olds do. So I stay in the bathroom, near the bath, and I knock out 60 jump squats. So, and I usually do 20 squats per minute. So 20 jump squats. I do a little emotional lap, just a little mini walk, just to kind of reset. I do another set of 20, do a little emotional lap, reset, another set of 20. So in 3 minutes, I do 60 jump squats. And I will tell you right now, I've worn a continuous glucose monitor so many times doing this habit, and talk about optimizing blood glucose in real time. This, and if you're thinking, oh my gosh, 60 jump squats, is she kidding me? Start with 20.
Yeah.
Or even start with
5.
just squats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Air
And
squats.
so I do it when I'm brushing my teeth. I do it when I'm running bath. I do it when I'm in the kitchen making dinner. I do it after meetings. And so I build in these little micro movements of jump squats, or I have weights by my desk. I also have weights. We have a 2-story house, which I know a lot of homes are. And I just walk up and down my stairs with 2 20-pound weights, so 40 total, 5 times. And I'll tell you, we're talking 3 minutes. 3 minutes up and down the stairs 5 times. And then I put those weights away and go back to doing whatever I'm doing. And so I build in all this micro movement, these little exercise snacks throughout my day, very intentional, because I always have 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 1 minute that I can do something. I can move my body in a meaningful way. And I like to do movement, or I recommend movement that is revving up your cardiovascular system. It is revving up your respiratory system. So you're really feeling like you're putting in a little bit of work before you go back to do whatever else you're doing. And so it's that habit stacking, these micro stacks of movement and self-care, maybe it's breath, where you build it throughout your day, where it's kind of a no excuses situation where I can do this no matter how full my schedule is.
I love that. And I think there's 2 ways in which the research really supports the benefit of this. First of all, we know that after meals, if you just do something like, I think the study was 10 air squats,
10
might have
air
been
squats,
slightly
yeah.
more, but not very many, 10 air squats. In fact, one of the most interesting papers I ever read was that women tend to live longer than men because we tend to clean up the kitchen. So the person who loads and unloads the dishwasher, hand washes the dishes, or cleans up the kitchen and puts the food away, that 10 minutes of movement adds up to, a decade of longer life expectancy. So 10 air squats after dinner. My husband and I always take a walk after dinner, short walk. The other thing that's been measured is doing calf raises. That muscle, doing, like you said, up and down the stairs, or just doing calf raises with or without weights. All of this has been studied to be regulating blood sugar and just metabolic health in general. But the other thing it does is, I think one of the things I've noticed being Gen X, when I have 2 Gen Z children, is a lot of people now, our older age has less of this problem because we grew up without it. But even still, many people don't know how to spend 3 minutes without their phone. And so, it just becomes a habit. You turn off one thing, you have 3 minutes of a break, and then you pick up your phone. Instead, you pick up a 20-pound weight, or you just do some air squats, or you walk outside and breathe slowly for 3 minutes, or just sit in your chair and breathe slowly for 3 minutes. I think we're doing a lot of different things simultaneously there that doesn't take a lot of time, but develops very good habits for the brain in particular. Like you were talking about, cardiovascular intensity, and then, giving your son a bath and breathing slower during that time. That's actually training your autonomic nervous system to have some range of tolerating intensity and then going into recovery. So I really love these habits because I think, one of the biggest struggles for busy working women in perimenopause is just, I don't have enough time.
Yeah, we're just in survival mode. I mean, talk about, if there was ever a messy middle, Jessica, this is it. We're the sandwich generation in the messy middle. It's just, an example, I was driving to LA the other day for a podcast, and I was talking to my mom. I called my mom because it was my sister's birthday. I knew my sister wasn't awake. And my sister is younger than me, and she had a stroke a couple years back. And my sister is not in really great health. And I call my mom to check in, and I just get barraged with all the things that are going on with my sister. And it was, I was like, okay. And when you think as a practitioner, or even just as a sister who cares, you're running down the laundry list of all the things that you need to do to support, and this is happening so often. I didn't know I was walking into that conversation. I didn't know I was walking into a new to-do list. And so it's, I just I want women to know that we understand, what it's like to be, there's constant problems to be solving, and how, prioritizing you when the world has taught you to prioritize everything and everyone else is such a big part, including the phone piece, like you said, like being intentional about prioritizing you over the phone. So an example, I've got a coffee. My favorite little coffee shop is just down the street. It's called Lofty Coffee here in San Diego. And, you order your coffee, you got about 5 minutes to wait, give or take. And you can do one of two things. You can get on your phone, get on TikTok or Instagram, or deal with emails or whatever, or you can go for a walk around the block while you wait for the coffee. And so I am automatically programmed to, once I put the order in, I start walking around the block. And what's a beautiful incentive is around that block is the ocean. So I can see the ocean from that. And it's a hill too. So I go down the hill and then go back up the hill. I get to see the ocean and I come back up. And by the time I'm back, the coffee's there. Or if it's not, I do a smaller version of that block. So it's but what can we sub out the phone for actual intentional movement? So I try to, when I would normally be grabbing my phone, or how, this downtime, how can we leverage that downtime as time that is actually really nourishing and supporting your body throughout your day?
Yeah. There's a little bit of a trend right now that I hope amplifies, where people are kind of pretending they're in the 90s. And
I don't know this trend. Tell
yeah,
me more.
I actually saw a really good video on this the other. A couple of things. There are a small but growing group of Gen Zs, people in their late teens and 20s who are getting like flip phones. So they no longer have all the information on their phone and the apps and the internet. In fact, there was a study just published earlier this week that showed if you take the internet and social media apps just off your phone, even if you still use them on your work computer, your brain within 2 weeks will reverse 10 years in terms of its biological age. Now, the problem is if you jump right back to it, it
goes
gets stressed
back up.
again.
Yeah.
You can't stop eating McDonald's for 2 weeks and then start eating McDonald's every day forever after that. But
It doesn't
it's the
work
same
that way.
idea.
Yeah.
So you have to change your life. But I do think that, for some people in this season, it may not be realistic to completely make that change. But I think one of the things that you and I both do as health coaches is, with our health coaching hat on, is like, how can we make a part of that? So the 90s trend is basically forgetting that phones exist. And so what might that look like? Well, in the 90s, if someone went to a coffee shop and ordered a coffee, they would stand there for 5 minutes and maybe chat with someone, maybe just look out the window, maybe, just wait in line, maybe just sit at a table and read a book. Like, it's just about kind of getting curious, or like you said, take a walk around the block, window shop at the little stores next door for a minute, trying to remember what it feels like to be present in your life is actually so healing to the brain. And I think when we're talking about perimenopause and menopause related issues, so much of it goes back to brain health because it's sleep challenges, it's brain fog, it's mild cognitive impairments. And then when we look at the fact that almost no one shows up in the 40s with no prior brain stressors, this is a key time to do exactly what you were saying at the beginning. Optimize your brain health, your focus, your rest, recovery, your energy in the morning from having good sleep, but also preserve your brain so that you're not dealing with dementia in your 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Exactly. If there's anything that perimenopause is, it is a neuroendocrine transition. And I think any woman who's going through it, you feel that. You feel the mood changes, you feel the cognitive changes, you feel the lowered stress tolerance. You feel that, that now I don't feel like myself kind of moment. And that isn't just a moment, unfortunately.
Well, it's kind of every day.
It's a continuum. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think, if you had kind of like one piece of advice, women, we've just given you a lot of brain nourishing tips. So go back and listen to this again, get out the notepad, because I think this is a very actionable episode. But my first suggestion would be like, let's get awareness to when we're stressing your brain. Like maybe just start taking notes, and then any other thoughts, like any other.
Absolutely. I love this question because it's, regulating the nervous system, noticing those. And I think it's really, it's in a, I would say, how do we regulate or how do we shift our state? And, it's one, bringing on that prefrontal cortex back online. So naming facts, like name what you see, name 3 things you see, or the desk, the window, the plant, and I always think in terms of state changes when we're re-regulating our nervous system. I feel like very much so in perimenopause, we could find ourselves in a state of chronic stress more often than not, and movement of any kind. And so I want to anchor back into the movement. For me, what has helped my blood sugar, my metabolism, my digestion, but most importantly, my mood and my stress is going to be walking. Even if it's just 3 minutes, if I can just go up and down the street one time, I can help to re-regulate my nervous system. I can shift my state enough to kind of be back being more present. And that's really what I'm looking for is creating that presence. And if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if I can do that, I also recommend sending safety signals to the brain, through, gratitude practice or breath in the morning, or anchoring yourself to, again, that evening routine where you are letting the brain know, whether it's the morning or the evening or even throughout the day, that it's safe. And whatever works for you, maybe that's a voice memo to a best friend, or that's reading a book in the middle of the day, or it is a quick little walk, or just going outside into your backyard, or looking out the window, looking 10 feet in front of you, and just kind of getting a bigger view of things, because we're just, like I said, we're always on our phone, we're always on a screen, everything's very close to us, our face and our eyes, and just having that bigger, like 10-foot view of and identifying. So for me, I go out, I have a kind of a little bit of a tropical garden, which is nice. And, shout out to my husband, Alex, for curating that beautiful garden. The other thing about my garden is it's really, it's very welcoming to hummingbirds and butterflies. So lots of hummingbirds and butterflies. And right now it's, again, spooky season. So there's orb weaver spiders in my backyard too. There's a lot of nature happening in my backyard. So I'll step outside barefoot because we have grass, and I will look at the cannas. I will look at the sage. I will look at the beautiful, bright coloring, all the colorful flowers. And I will look at the spiders, and I will look at the hummingbird inside of our birds of paradise tree. We have big birds of paradise trees that canopy over us. And I will just take 3 minutes, 5 minutes to ground, but also to just observe and be present in the moment. And any time in the day, I can go and step outside for just a second and then reset and center myself. And so I think those, as much as, whether it's jump squats but reorganizing, re-regulating that nervous system is a game changer. And it can be as simple as just naming facts or stepping outside and looking 10 feet ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you for these just really practical rubber meets the road tips. I think this is what busy working women in perimenopause really need. We need like what to do to get started, what to do next, and play with the idea of just being in the presence of the world outside, thinking, learning, looking at the ocean, looking at the trees, looking at the flowers in your own backyard. These little tiny things are truly the key to 85-year-old brain health.
Yes. Yes. And we all deserve a good 85-year-old brain health. And that starts today. That really does.
It really does. Thank you so much, Mariza. Your new book is coming out very soon. Tell us a little about that.
Yes, the perimenopause revolution. It is the roadmap every midlife woman deserves. It is going to, the question I get so often, Jessica, is, "Am I in perimenopause?" So I'm going to help you identify that real quick. And then I also connect the dots between your symptoms and your future health outcomes. I think one of the biggest myths about perimenopause is that, oh, it's just a transition of chaos and then everything just gets better on the other side. I'm like, what? So listen to those signs and symptoms. I connect the dots for you. Next, it's the pillars. We talked a lot about those: optimizing circadian rhythm, balancing your blood sugar, moving like your life depends on it. But like, let's start from NEAT, right? Non-exercise activity thermogenesis, doing doing the laundry standing up, sweeping the floors, doing the dishes, unloading the dishwasher. All of this adds up. It all compounds over time to being physically active. HRT, balancing our nervous system. And then there's a 5-week program that puts it all together and just makes it so easy to implement, including a big section on mindset so that you know who you're becoming, so you know how to create the most resilient, most powerful, vital next chapter yet. And you can grab the book with all the bonuses at drmariza.com/book. It'll be everywhere books are sold, including Audible, because if you're like me, that is how I consume content these days, is via Audible or some type of book app.
I love it. Okay, go get that book. I am really excited to read it myself. It's coming out very soon. You can get access to all the pre-book stuff, all the bonuses, all the fun book launch stuff. And yeah, one of the ways to get out and walk is just put a book in your headphones and keep going a few more chapters. So
yeah, a book, a podcast. I mean, double dip. If you're like me and you're like, I need to make the most out of my time, it can be a yes and. I interview people a lot on my show, Energized with Dr. Mariza, and they're just like, don't bring your phone with you to go and take a walk. And you know what? I celebrate everybody who goes and does their walk without listening to something. But I want to be entertained. I want to listen to something that's moving the needle for me in terms of my education. And so I'm a big, if that's what's going to get you out the door, is listening to something entertaining or sending a voice memo to a bestie or listening to a really cool podcast, you have my full permission to do that. Like, get in where you fit in and make it work for you.
absolutely. Same. Either way, but I'm definitely a headphones girl like 90% of the time.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Dr. Mariza. We'll list everything in the show notes about where you can find her and her new book. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks.